Hello and welcome to this video, and also welcome to 2021. In this video we're going to talk about where to start in QuickBooks for the year 2021 and some tips and tricks along the way. So stay tuned to understand exactly how QuickBooks can work for you.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it starts, I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me.
Hello, my name's Aaron Patrick, a Chartered Accountant, Certified UK Trainer from Intuit and also that QuickBooks chat. Now, welcome to the channel on the internet where you are given all access pass to QuickBooks itself. On this channel we talk about how QuickBooks can help you and your business, and we can also understand exactly what's best for you. And we can also give some tips and tricks for your business along the way. If you like the idea, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to make sure that you're always up to date on what's happening in the world of QuickBooks that may affect your business. So the year's 2021 and we are now talking about, well, what is it that QuickBooks can do for you? If you're using it for the first time, welcome, you've made a great choice. And what is it that you need to understand before you jump into the world of QuickBooks Online? This channel is all about giving you the right way and the right chance of making the most out of QuickBooks Online and making sure it works for your business. So let's jump straight into tip number one and let's figure out exactly which version of QuickBooks is right for you. Okay, so in front of me is QuickBooks Online and how much it costs plus which So here are the 4 tiers of QuickBooks that you need to be aware of. Now, notice I said tiers and not versions. When it comes to versions, there's actually 2 versions of QuickBooks. How does that work? Well, it's actually really straightforward. When it comes to QuickBooks Online, you're going to have 2 things to worry about. Do you pick QuickBooks Self-Employed or do you pick QuickBooks Online? And then when you choose QuickBooks Online, there's actually 3 different tiers depending on how much functionality you need for your business. Well, the key thing to remember is that if you're in the QuickBooks Online ecosystem and you pick one of the tiers, it's actually really easy to jump between a tier and add on the extra functionality that you may need. On the other hand, if you start on QuickBooks Self-Employed, then actually it's much more tricky because QuickBooks Self-Employed is its own standalone product and you can't migrate the data from QuickBooks Self-Employed to QuickBooks Online. So the first thing you need to make sure is, are you on the right version? Now, QuickBooks Self-Employed has loads of benefits, and I've done a dedicated video on what it's got versus QuickBooks Online. But the key thing to remember is how many transactions you have. If you really are a small, starting out business, maybe a part-time business, or maybe something or someone who's just looking to get a little bit of extra income, then QuickBooks Self-Employed is probably perfect for you. As long as you don't have too many transactions. Where QuickBooks Self-Employed becomes more tricky is when you have lots of transactions. I'm talking like hundreds a month. If that's the case, it might be better off you moving over to QuickBooks Online using one of their tiers, and that will find a much better experience for you. If you're still unsure, look at the videos that I've created on QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Self-Employed to make sure you're making the right choice. But it's a really critical choice. Also, don't be too alarmed about the price difference between one and the other. Contact my friends over at Boffix and we'll make sure you get a deal where it doesn't matter which version of QuickBooks you're paying for. It doesn't matter which version of QuickBooks is right for you, you'll be paying the right fair amount for it. Let's have a look at tip number 2. Okay, so point number 2. As soon as you get into QuickBooks, you're going to see that it's quite overwhelming. There's quite a lot of boxes here. There's quite a lot of things happening in front of you. And to get the best way of understanding how QuickBooks works and to get comfortable with it, my pro tip is the following. Go into the New button in the top left hand corner. From the New button, go down to Customers and Invoice. Now, even if you don't need to send out an invoice ever in QuickBooks, just the notion of going to create a brand new transaction, in this case an invoice, and going through the steps of what it is to send that invoice out will make you understand how QuickBooks works in the best possible way. So let's have a look. So the first thing I need to do with an invoice is pick a customer. So I can drop this down. Now in your case, you're probably not going to have any customers there, being your first ever one. So let's do test customer. Notice how it's even given me the option here to add a brand new test customer. So I press add. And there's also an option here to do details as well. So if I want to put in the address and everything that I want to always be on that customer's invoice going forward, I have the ability to put it there. I then have an email, and I would actually put an email in here that you can send to yourself. I'm just going to go test@test.com for now. But then you're going to see what it looks like from the customer's end when they receive an invoice from you. Because QuickBooks gives you that functionality. You get to send the invoice directly from QuickBooks itself. And then the benefit of that is then you're going to have the ability to have a look at that invoice. See the audit trail, which is really important. So you're going to have the opportunity to see when the customer opens that invoice and even when they pay the invoice as well. It's going to give you lots of opportunities to understand how that invoice is going. We also have the option here to accept payment options. So explore these. The top one there is basically a wonderful pay now button. So as soon as you send the invoice out, customer can make payment directly from whatever device they're using at the time. And below that is the setup direct debit using a solution called GoCardless. Highly recommend you looking into that if that's worthwhile for your business. The ability there is you can get QuickBooks to automatically generate invoices for you. So really useful if you've got like a monthly subscription or you've got monthly fees that you want to be collecting on a month-by-month basis. What QuickBooks can then do is automatically tell GoCardless this invoice is needed, and then GoCardless can automatically take that money from your customer. So if set up correctly, you can make it so you're automating that monthly cycle, that monthly invoice cycle really straightforward. And it's going to be really beneficial to you and save you a lot of time in the long run. You get to put your billing address, terms, invoice date, due date, invoice number, all these sort of items that are here. And you get to put those information in. And I would urge you just to have a look at each one of those, see how it affects an invoice as you send it out. The key bit though is this activity table here, because this is when it's all going to start understanding of what QuickBooks is doing for you and how to put transactions in. Now when you're sending an invoice out, it's all based around what's called products and services, and when you open this up you're only going to see a couple of them. It'll be sales and it'll be hours, something along those lines, and you can use them to begin with, because all you're doing is when you click on a sales, for example, and you choose a quantity and you choose a rate, and if you've got VAT turned on as I have now, then you will automatically see QuickBooks is doing the rest of the hard work for you. So it's going through and it's having a look and seeing that there's 5 times 1,000 in this case, adding on VAT for me in this case. You'll also notice at the bottom here, you have a save and send with a little arrow next to it, which also tells you the other option. So it's telling you save and new, save and close, and you can look through from there. So again, get that first transaction set up for you. Look at it, look into what it is that you are seeing on screen and how they interact with it. So when you start interacting with this area, you're going to find your life a lot easier. Once you're happy with that, press save and send, save and close, save and new, whichever it was that you need to do, and your first transaction will be there. What you should notice is this screen in front of you, especially if you use today's date, will start to evolve. And that's important. This dashboard is so important to you running your business. The idea of the dashboard is without you even asking for it, you're being presented information about your business. You're told how much money is in your bank account. You're told how much money is owed to you. You're told what you've spent on and that sort of information. Where after time, when more and more information has been put in there, it's going to be critical to you when you're running of your business. So start to take in that information, start to understand what that information means, and start to relate it to your business. The next step is just to have a look and see where the settings are. So top right hand corner, company cog, your company, account and settings. Now don't worry, I'm going to do a dedicated video on exactly what the account and settings does in QuickBooks, so you can understand where turning this feature on, turning that feature on, things like that is going to be really beneficial to you. But for now, just understand where the settings options are. Have a look at all the different setting options in this left hand side and just be aware of these items. One pro tip as well, the way that this works is you actually have to click into the little area, so in this case the accounting area, for it to then to expand. And sometimes the setting you're looking for is actually hidden behind a little sub area and you need to click into it to find the setting that you're looking for. Once you got acquainted with settings, your next big task is the bank. And the bank is so important. One of the key things about QuickBooks is the ability for you to connect your bank account directly into QuickBooks. So that means that every time you do a transaction in the real world on your bank, that information is going to be dragged into QuickBooks for you to then do something with. And that saves so much time for you because you're not having to go through and put the amount and the date and etc, etc. But what it also means is it starts feeding QuickBooks with information. QuickBooks starts to learn, QuickBooks starts to understand, and utilising that is going to be a real success story to you and your business. So on the left hand side, I'm jumping into bank and banking. And here's a banking section where I've already got information in there. So I've already got stuff in there that I can deal with. But to create a new bank account, it's all about going into this top left-hand corner up here and press link account. From link account, I then get to choose one of my bank accounts. Now, here in front of me are 8 of the most popular. All I need to do is start typing the word NAT at the top here for, let's say, nationwide, and I get 1,571 results. So the chances are the bank account you want to connect is going to be available. Doesn't matter what bank account you choose on the bank, and then what's going to happen is QuickBooks is going to run through with you on a bank by bank basis exactly how to connect. Once that's happened, you're going to be seeing a screen very similar to this. And this is where it gets really important. Now you may think at this point, job done, everything's been connected. Yes, I'm now done and dusted. But actually that's only half the story. Connecting your bank account and keeping it connected, where we're in a process where every 90 days we have to reconnect the account, maybe sometimes even more times than that if there's any errors or issues like that. But once you've connected the bank account, that's only half the story. The next part is then telling QuickBooks what those transactions are. But it's really straightforward. Have a look. You'll notice on the top here we've got 3 different categories. We've got for review, categorize, and excluded. And your whole point and your whole job and your whole methodology of completing and dealing with a bank account is to notice that everything that's in for review hasn't yet been put into QuickBooks. So if you're in a VAT return or you look at reports or anything like that, if the items are still in for review, they've not been processed in QuickBooks. Therefore, they're excluded from QuickBooks at this point in time. Your job is to move it from excluded to either categorized, where you want it in QuickBooks, or to the box excluded when actually you don't want it in QuickBooks at all. And all I do is I go into a transaction, say here I've got Hermes, and I go in and I click into the transaction. And from there I can say that it was for Hermes itself. I'm going to add a brand new one, just like we did when we did our transaction. And from a category by the way, I'm going to go postage. And what will happen now is QuickBooks is going to start learning this. So I'm going to press add and add that transaction in. And now the next Hermes goes green. I press add again. And QuickBooks is then even going to stay one step further and say, whoa, why are you doing this on a regular basis? Why do you keep saying that Hermes goes to postage? What I can do here is leave this little box called auto add on there and create what's called a rule. And that means every time Hermes comes into my bank account now, QuickBooks is going to see that transaction and it's going to deal with it accordingly. And that's by far the quickest way for us to go through and put these sort of transactions into QuickBooks. So get that bank account connected pretty much straight away. That's going to be by far the biggest time saving you'll ever make in QuickBooks Online. But then understand how that works. Understand that ability that you want to be connecting that bank account and then you want to be adding the transactions that appear. Just having the transactions in for review isn't enough. You need to move the transactions from for review to categorized. Once they're in categorized, that means they're in QuickBooks. You can run reports, you can look at bank statements, you can look at your estimated tax bills, you can do all that wonderful things, but first of all you need to add the transactions into QuickBooks itself. So make sure you add the bank, then add the transactions. Job done. Add my bank, add my transaction, JD. Speaking of reports, the next bit is to get yourself familiar with reports. So I jump into the reports section on the left hand side. One of the most important reports you'll ever come across is profit and loss. And that's going to let you know your income less your expenses and how much and how much overall income you've possibly got. Now, because I'm on the higher version, what I always like to do is show this information in a month by month basis, especially if I'm going for a much more bigger period. So if I run for 365 days in months and press run report, I get this wonderful report where I can see exactly the trends that are happening within QuickBooks. And that's really powerful because now I can start seeing all that information I'm putting into QuickBooks and how it relates and how that's going to affect my business. So I can look at my income and I can see that the income streams and how they're coming in and maybe start to get to grips and start trends and items like that. And when I come and look at my expense, I can start looking and maybe drilling down a little bit of what's going on here. So here I've got cost of sales in every month apart from September. So maybe in September I've either misallocated something or just not put the transaction in at all. Really important to get that transaction in. But you'll understand now that how those bank transactions that you're adding into QuickBooks are starting to affect. And also from here, hopefully it'll start making you think about other transactions. So transactions outside of QuickBooks that need to be added. For any of those transactions, I'm just going to go new. I'm going to go expense. And I'm going to treat the transaction as an expense. And the key element is my payment account up here. So I need to drop down my arrow, pick a brand new payment account that isn't my bank, and then I can put any transaction I want in from there. At this point then, we're starting to really get to grips with how QuickBooks is working. But the point of the matter of everything to do with what we say on this channel is the most important person to ever look at this information will be you. So you're starting to see the reports, hopefully you've started to understand, and if you don't, if there's some things out there that you think should be dealt with in a different way, then feel free to add any category that works for you. This is about making your life easier. You're the most important person who's ever going to read those monthly management reports or those profit and loss accounts or those balance sheet items. And if you can understand them and you can get benefit from putting that information in, then that's what it's all about. Also, don't just throw information into QuickBooks just so you can file a tax return or file a VAT return. Start getting benefits out of it. Benefits like cash flow. Have a look at this. Well, I'm now putting information into QuickBooks, and over here on the left hand side I have a cash flow element. And this is where QuickBooks can be really powerful for you and your business. Here it's starting to predict what's going to happen in the next 90 days. It looks back at the previous bit of information and it's telling me how my cash flow was going during that point, but everything after this period is all an estimate. It's telling me that transaction it expects to see coming out of my bank account because they're transactions that happen on a regular basis that happen in this period over here. It's going to look at any invoices I might have outstanding. It's going to look and take them into consideration of when their due date is, when to expect that money coming in, and then how my cash flow will be affected going forward. And this projected element here is one of the key benefits of using something like QuickBooks. QuickBooks feeds off all the information you give it. So you add your bank account, you start telling things that are happening. You start sending invoices via QuickBooks and not via any other solution. You start using QuickBooks as your main way of running your business from a financial point of view. And then QuickBooks rewards you with things like the cash flow forecast, where it starts looking into the future, starts predicting how your business has been. And as we come into 2021 and we say goodbye to 2020, that has never been more important. Understanding the impact of furlough, understanding the impact of grants, understanding the impact of maybe a bounce back loan. All of these things, our clients have had to use their cash flow forecast to understand how that's going to affect their business and what they need to do about that going forward. So I urge you, if you're going to be using QuickBooks Online, make sure that you use it for the right reasons. Make sure that you're putting information in there that's going to be right for you and going to benefit you and your business. And that's it. A quick look at how to get started in QuickBooks Online in 2021. Now there's lots more to cover on this, and you're in the right place. So don't forget to use that like and subscribe button to make sure that you are getting all the information about QuickBooks Online as and when it happens. We cover anything new in QuickBooks, and we're also going to be looking back at all the other stuff in more detail as well. Our aim is to make sure that you get the most out of QuickBooks and your business doesn't just survive but thrives. If this has made you interested in QuickBooks in any way, don't forget that below there'll be a link with my friends over at Buffix. You can get yourself a discounted version of QuickBooks. It's actually cheaper than what you can buy from QuickBooks themselves. And if you got this far, let me know below, what's your best feature of QuickBooks in 2021? My name's been Aaron Patrick. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this video for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it starts. that it's real, cause I can get him out of my head. I don't care what we do, everything's feeling new. Even if we stay in bed, my heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah. You know I want him nah, 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 nah. My heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah.
Hello and thank you for watching that video. What you may not know is this channel that you've watched this video from is part of a wider group. That wider group is called Apple Core Production, and the 3 channels that we have involved are as follows: Aaron Patrick the QuickBooks Chat, Boffick's Tax Tip. Finally, we have Apple Core Live in Geeky. All the links and everything are down below in the description, but it really means a lot to us if you can go and give a like to the other channels as well.